You're listening to certified financial planner Doug Goldstein, host of the Goldstein on Gelt Show, www.goldsteinongelt.com.
I am very excited to have on the Goldstein on Gelt Show certified financial planner Shannah Game, who, like me, helps people with their personal finance, but Shannah has kind of a specialty. In fact, I think the way that she describes it, that she is looking to revolutionize the way millennials think, act, and feel about money. Now, Shannah, I got to tell you, I don't deal as much with millennials, I think, as you do, because I kind of deal often with older people, but everyone's getting to that age, hopefully. What is different about millennials and handling their money than, other people?
Yeah, absolutely, Doug. It is a really interesting demographic. It is the largest demographic to come along, and they stand to inherit the greatest amount of wealth transfer that we've ever seen, at least in U.S. history, but I'm imagining that's pretty much in world history. And I think what's really unique about millennials is they've grown up in this technology era, right? So they've grown up with Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat and all of these different mediums to communicate. And it really has changed the way that I think we deliver information to millennials. And because their attention spans are very small, I was going to say like a gnat, but very small, right? We're all kind of guilty of that, I think, regardless of what age we are right now. But
Sure.
Because their attention spans are so short, I think it's really hard for them to get information about important subjects like money, and so I think you just have to be really innovative of how you actually approach and teach this demographic. And for me, I love that challenge. I'm on the border of millennial and Gen Xer. And so I kind of approach it like I'm your big sister. I've been through some things. I'm a certified financial planner, but it doesn't mean I have not made money mistakes along the way. So if I can infuse any tools and really inspire the millennials to take action, even just take a little step with their money, I know how.
So the problem with the little step model for many people, or let's say with any, and you're describing people who maybe have a shorter attention span than they should, is that, as you know, someone who's going to be investing for the long term has to actually have some patience, right? It's not so easy, and day to day, it's not that exciting, and in fact, the only excitement you usually get is when the market crashes. So how do you guide someone, or what are the tools that someone needs in order to say, I'm going to put the little bit of money in. I know it's not going to make any difference today, but over the long term, it's going to help. How do you help them with that?
Yeah, I think, with investing when it comes to millennials, I mean, that is definitely, we could spend a whole hour talking about that. They've seen what happened in the United States in the 2008-2009 crash. And, a lot of the millennials are super conservative. And so they're actually not investing, I think, which is the scary part, because we both know how important it is the earlier you start, potentially the better off you're going to be down the road. So I think there's a lot of tools now that millennials can use. There's apps, there's robo-advisors, there's lots of mechanisms to help millennials at least get a foot in the water with investing.
How are these tools working for them? So the tools have been around for a while. Millennials have been around for a while. Hopefully some of them are working and not living at home anymore. And are they succeeding? Is this stuff helping?
I think that what it's doing is it's bringing an awareness and approachability to investing. I think a lot of millennials are thinking, I don't want all my money to go away like what happened in the stock market crash, but I don't really even know what I'm doing, and I don't know who to trust with the advice. So I think the apps are just helping millennials, even in a very basic way. If they can start putting away, $20 a month or $25 a month, it's helping them have some sort of familiarity with investing that hopefully will inspire them. The theory is good.
So the theory is good, but I'm curious about the practice. Like when you talk to them, are they really doing it, or are they just, and frankly, not to knock $20 a month, and that's a great start, but it's not going to get you to retirement unless you get a huge inheritance one day.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's, I don't know the exact split of how many of them are doing it or not doing it, but the reaction that I've heard is that a lot of these tools are helping it feel, again, more approachable for millennials. And I think it's a conversation that they can have with their friends about these different apps or these different robo-advisors or things like that. And so I think it's kind of removing a little bit of the stigma. But yeah, I mean, I think that that's going to be a really interesting conversation to see what's going to happen with, investments and the future, because there are a lot of millennials that are still, even with all the technology and apps, just saying, I don't want to lose half of my money, so I'm just not even going to get in the game. And, we both know what kind of impact that can have over, your future, and how limited your choices could be down the line if, you don't start somewhere.
Mm-hmm. We're talking with Shannah Game, who is a CFP like me, and she deals with helping people get started and learn about managing money. Shannah has been talking to us about how millennials are beginning to deal with it or think about it. And I want to encourage them. I want to give people some real takeaways from this discussion today about what should they do if they want to start planning, let's say, to buy a house or to pay off some of their loans, or really ultimately to become wealthy, maybe even to retire. What would be the first step you would suggest someone do right now?
I talk about this a lot. It's a process I call know your numbers, and it's really simplistic in nature, and yet, regardless of income, I think everybody kind of skips this. We're traditionally taught, we do a budget and we do it at the beginning of the month, and at the end of the month we go, oh wait, that didn't work out so well. I'll try that again. And you have the same results over and over again. But the process that I really try to teach people is, unless you dive in and really understand your expenses, where every single dollar is going, you don't have control over making these money changes that you need to in order to pay off debt or buy a house or whatever your goal may be. So there's power in really the awareness of knowing where your money's going. And I always find this shocking. You probably have the same reaction, is that everybody thinks they know where their money's going until they actually do the exercise a couple months and go, oh, wait a minute. I didn't realize I was spending this much on that, or, whatever it may be. And
I see. So the key thing is to write it down, to record it somehow. Do you have one favorite app or tool that you like to use for that?
I'm a big fan of, it's an online tool, and they have an app as well called You Need a Budget, which really helps you goal plan and have some control over the money that's coming in, and then ultimately the money that's going out.
Mm-hmm. I want to go on the goal thing. We spoke about different goals people might have, whether it's retirement or paying off debt. And one of them is simply buying a home, the American dream. I've spoken to millennials who say, I don't know why people keep telling me that. I don't want to own a home. I don't see that as a goal. Do you think that's something that's important as a financial goal, and therefore people have to start saving and improving their credit score when they're young?
That's a great question. I think that the thing that we always need to remember is that with goals, there is no one size fits all. So there's no manual that says, okay, you graduate college, you get X job, you get married, you buy the house, you have kids. And I think millennials are really starting to kind of debunk those myths. I mean, they're living at home longer, lots of reasons, because they have a lot of student loan debt and things like that. But I find that millennials are really delaying that home buying purchase and kind of having a question mark around it, saying, is this something that I really want to do? I will say the trend that I'm definitely seeing is a lot of millennials really interested in real estate investing, with Airbnb and all of these popular social platforms that are coming up. That's definitely more the conversation that I hear from millennials, wanting to skip right over buying a home and going right into, let me get an investment property.
Interesting. So they see real estate as an investment, but they don't necessarily feel it's important for them to own because you can always rent. Fascinating. Shannah, this is really interesting. I know you have a lot of ideas for millennials that you cover. Unfortunately, we are just about out of time. But in the last few seconds, tell me, how can people follow you and follow your work?
Absolutely. So I am a host of a podcast myself called Millennial Money. You can find it on iTunes, or you can head on over to my website, which is just my name, shannahgame.com. I've got all sorts of great tips and information there, and you can listen to all my podcast episodes as well.
Fantastic. We will put links to that at the show notes of today's show at goldsteinongelt.com. Shannah Game, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Goldstein on Gelt Show with money maven Doug Goldstein. Check out all of Doug's money ideas at goldsteinongelt.com. Doug specializes in helping people who live outside the United States handle their U.S. investment accounts. If you have a question that you would like answered on the air or off, contact Doug at his website or send him an email to Doug at profile-financial.com.